Game at the World Cup, the knockout stage well and truly underway now, and it's Brazil taking on Japan. And after the game yesterday, which was a very tentative affair between South Africa and Canada, the co-hosts are needing an injury time goal to win that game 1-0. Something tells me that this game should be a little bit more open. You never can tell with these knockout games. Sometimes both sides can just end up cancelling each other out. But Brazil, a solid outfit under Carlo Ancelotti, perhaps not the sort of flair team that we're used to seeing up against the Japan side, who have generally looked very impressive in the group stage. And they'll be looking to try and get into Brazil's face, and they're doing that straight away from the kickoff, pressing from Japan right at the edge of the Brazil penalty area. Ball played back to Alisson, whose clearance isn't the best at all, and straight away Japan are trying to put a bit of pressure on here. Doan losing the ball there just as he was trying to turn away. They want a free kick as well. Our referee Maurizio Mariani actually gives the free kick the other way. So it's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Charlie O'Brien taking you through the action. Charlie, we're expecting a fairly open game here, I would say.
Yeah, I've been very excited about this one ever since, basically the start of the tournament. I think it was always expected that this was likely to be one of the round of 32 games. I do think, however, that maybe, the stereotypes we might have of Brazilian and Japanese sides maybe don't quite apply to these two. I think these are two very defensively solid and organised teams, so I do hope we get a thriller, but also I imagine both teams will be looking to do a job on the other. Well,
absolutely. A bit of a worry for Brazil that Paquetá was already checking his hamstring after the first minute there for that free kick. But so the ball's now gone forward. A little back heel there from Casemiro just at the edge of the Japan penalty area. And then the ball's been lost and it's quickly played towards goal. In the end, Suzuki puts his hands away. I think he was trying to say it probably wasn't a corner, but I think he got a deflection anyway. Bruno Guimaraes immediately turning away and trying to get the fans involved. Well, that's one way I think that Brazil can try and unsettle Japan, is just really get as many players in front of that penalty area as possible.
Well, if it's going to be this pace, then we're in for a treat end-to-end already in these first 2 minutes, and Guimaraes really trying to gee up the crowd. The atmosphere must be electric inside the Houston Stadium, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yes. There'll be plenty of fans of both nations within the stadium. Both Brazil and Japan have got large expat communities within the North American nations, and of course there'll be plenty travelling across as well. But it's going to be an outswinging corner here from Bruno Guimaraes. It's a little bit low, a little bit flat, and easily headed away at the near post there by Ristu, and it's away for a throw. Chance now for Brazil to try and maintain this early pressure there. We see Carlo Ancelotti there with Paul Clement, his assistant. He knows what the expectations are, regardless of whether this is a more workmanlike defensive Brazil side. Doesn't really matter. The expectation back in Brazil is that they win every World Cup that they play in, and it's always a bit of an inquest if they don't. Whereas for Japan, of course, as far as Japanese football is concerned, they're just making steady progress from where they started out to where they are now, and they're certainly going to be a side to be reckoned with in future tournaments, if not this one already. Long ball now played towards the Brazil penalty area, and it's a loose ball there played back, and there's half a chance here now. Pushing forward towards the penalty area there is Maeda. Hits the deck just in front of the penalty area. He wants a free kick. I don't think he is going to get it, but it should be a corner.
Yeah, that's good pressing there from Maeda. Yeah, I think it looked like it went off him last, but I think if you're Japan, they've been clear, and the manager Hajime Moriyasu, who we're just seeing pictures of as well, he said he wants to win the World Cup. Well, coming into this one, the Japanese Federation have set a target of 2050, but he wants it earlier.
Well, I mean, it's to say it's good that they've got that sort of long-term plan, and there's a potential free kick there. Mateus Cunha hits the deck. He wants a free kick at the edge of the Japanese penalty area. Both referee and assistant not interested in that, though. The ball now back here with Hiroko Ito. Switching play over towards this right-hand side. In the air now from Tomiyasu up towards the halfway line. A bit of a heavy touch there from Ueda, who's coming down from quite a height, in fairness to it. Now Captain Marquinhos here for Brazil, just playing it square to Gabriel. Brazil in possession here now with Paquetá pinging a ball over the top, looking for Vini Jr. And goalkeeper needed to be quick there because there was just a little bit of hesitation there as well from Tomiyasu. And that's always going to be the case. Vini Jr. is such a difficult player to try and work out that as soon as defenders and goalkeepers see him coming, they always get a little bit nervous.
Yeah. Better to be safe than sorry. Scotland found that out the hard way. I think you don't want to be taking risks with him about.
No, absolutely not. Vinicius Jr. can sometimes be a mercurial player, sort of goes off the chart a little bit when he's having a bad day, but that could only make him more dangerous because he'll just pop up on that left-hand side and start doing unbelievable things with the ball, and before you know it, he's scored the goal that could potentially turn the tide. But for the time being, it's gone out for a throw here to Japan on the right-hand side. 5 minutes on the clock, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. Goalless here in this last 32 clash. But it's a decent pace to the game. Both sides are trying to get forward. Ball now played back towards Zion Suzuki. Square to Hiroki Ito, and he tries a long ball over the top, over the halfway line, but that's not good. That's at least 15-20 yards away from any Japanese player in their white away kit that they're playing in this evening. And Brazil now back in possession in their standard yellow and blue. Over towards the left-hand side now for Paquetá. He thought about the long ball, but Japan, no surprise really, they are going to play quite a high line just to try and limit that Brazilian diagonal ball. But of course they've got to get it right, because if it goes wrong, there is pace in that Brazil attack.
Yeah, absolutely. But even just looking at the pictures now, you can see how disciplined and organised that defensive line and indeed the midfield of Japan is. It's literally a straight line. There's 6 in defence currently for Japan.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was almost like they've got a flat back 4, and then they've got wing backs as well. They really are doubling up in defence, but Brazil are still getting forward. And now a ball coming in from the right-hand side. It was a deep cross from Bruno Guimarães, which was headed away, cleared away, all the way back towards the halfway line, where Gabriel now has it for Brazil. Over towards Paquetá. He's certainly starting in a very deep role this evening here, the West Ham man. It's now played with towards Vinicius Junior. He was brought down and he was fouled. It's Kaishu Sano with the foul. It'll be a free kick to Brazil. Still quite a long way out, but close enough to certainly think about a cross. Yeah, just a bit of a tangle there from Sano in the end. I think he can have too many complaints. Japan setting up just at the edge of the D with their offside. So they are trying to restrict any kind of balls into the penalty area. A couple of Brazilian players are deliberately stood in an offside position, just trying to unsettle that Japan defence. Casemiro and others. The referee just making sure everything's fine at the edge of the area. Certainly the pushing and shoving that we see in the Premier League this season has been watered down a little bit at this World Cup. They did warn before the tournament they were going to be keeping an eye on it. Long ball coming in now, and Suzuki has come out and he spilt it initially, but credit to him, after he sort of palmed it up in the air, he managed to catch the second ball himself.
Yeah, credit to Suzuki there, because he had Gabriel bearing down on him, the most intimidating presence from set pieces in the world this season. He did really well. It was almost deliberate the way he sort of palmed it up and then got it the second time, almost like a catch in cricket. That was really good goalkeeping.
No, it really was. Yeah, absolutely. Catch in cricket, or a set and then a sort of a catch in volleyball, I suppose, if that makes sense. But he certainly seemed to just to kill the pace of the ball with the first one in. Although saying that, I would say that many goalkeepers there probably would have been expecting a free kick. I don't think there was a foul on him, but I think quite a few keepers in these situations just expect the referee to assume that they've been fouled. As we see the Brazilian substitutes, Neymar amongst them. Such a difficult one with Neymar. I mean, on paper, probably one of the most talented footballers in the world, but it's very hard to judge because, of course, he doesn't play that often and he doesn't play in a very competitive league either.
Yeah, it was a very romantic pick, I think, for Brazil. It ended a 981-day international absence when he came in against Scotland. But you just feel that, I mean, even the last time he was in a World Cup, it seemed like it was maybe a little bit past his time. In terms of injuries, obviously, we know the quality that he has. I think if he was still playing in Saudi and wasn't playing in Brazil, I don't think he would have been picked, but I think that move back to Brazil probably got him back in the favours of those in charge.
Well, no, it really did, and I think that I think it was always a money move for Saudi. I think every player that's gone there has gone for that reason. But Neymar in the squad, and so wouldn't it just be typically Brazilian if he came off the bench and did something incredible just to help his side over the line? But for the time being, he's watching from the sidelines as his team push forward. Danilo down the right-hand side, back towards Bruno Guimarães. Brazil are certainly enjoying the majority of possession inside the first 8 minutes, but they're not finding it easy to get into the penalty area. Japan, as Charlie mentioned, very well organised in terms of keeping those lines of midfield and defence. Very, very difficult here for Brazil to make any kind of real progress, but they're going to try again here down the right-hand side. Marquinhos finding Ryan, and then he pings the ball out towards the left-hand side. Taken down quickly there by Douglas Santos. Plays it a long way back into midfield though here for Gabriel. Casemiro now trying a ball out towards the left-hand side. Eventually having to go back towards Gabriel again. Japan will be very happy to just sit back and absorb this kind of pressure, but they'll be looking to try and pick off a loose ball if they can. Casemiro now trying down the right-hand side, finding Danilo. Back in towards Bruno Guimarães. Looking for options left and right, just playing it back towards Casemiro, and that's a great ball to pick out the run of Danilo. Oh, did he wait too long to get the cross? And he does get it across into the penalty area. Paquetá is there, he can't get the shot away. It's back to Bruno Guimarães, who hits his own teammate square in the face. And the referee wanted to stop play, but Paquetá picks himself up, and Brazil still have possession here down the left-hand side. Douglas Santos now playing this one back into midfield, and it's gone all the way back towards Gabriel now. But credit to Paquetá. I thought he might have stayed down there. Looked like he got a really bad hit. But Marquinhos' ball into the box. And it's headed across his own penalty area there by Taniguchi. But thankfully, there was enough cushion on that header that Suzuki got to. But that looked a little bit more nervy there for Japan.
Yeah, lived in a charmed life there. Although I have to say, Doan, initially, it was a great challenge to stop Paquetá from being able to get the shot away. And then it was almost comical the way it blasted straight into his face. And he fell backwards in quite cartoonish manners. But as you say, he was straight back up. You do feel that, if he got that level of contact on his face from a jostle in the box, he wouldn't be getting up for a few minutes. But if it's your own teammate smashing it into you, then that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to waste any time on that, do we? As opposed to when we might potentially be able to get a penalty out of it. But it certainly looked like a painful one. Considering that, the modern ball does seem to be a lot harder than in previous generations. When you consider that players actually get foot and knee injuries sometimes when they get struck plumb on the joint with the ball as well. So that certainly could have been a painful one for Paquetá. He was just rubbing his face with his shirt just after the play was stopped, but he's fine. Never needed to go off the field, and it's Japan in possession now, playing through the middle here. Ball played across towards Kamada, and it's switched out towards the left-hand side. Bit of spacing out for Keito Nakamura, and he puts a right-footed ball in. Good header away there by Marquinhos. There were 3 Japanese players waiting inside the penalty area. Paquetá gets there just ahead of Juna Ito, and it's eventually cleared by Douglas Santos up to the halfway line, where it's headed forward here by Taniguchi. Loose ball in midfield, and Vinny Jr., was he fouled there? Yes, he was. Referee just looks across. Keishu Sano, he's already been involved in one incident earlier. We're going to see whether our Italian referee, Mr. Mariani, wants to actually give him a yellow card already. What do we think of this one there? There's a bit of a tread on that one, isn't there? Yeah,
of course accidental, but Vinny just beats him to the ball there. He actually gets a good challenge in, Vinicius Jr., so I think there's no doubt that he's won a foul for his efforts. Just before that was probably the best bit of attacking play we've seen so far from Japan, switching it onto the left side to Nakamura, and it was a decent ball in, but considering Brazil have arguably the best centre-back partnership in international football, I think it's going to take something special if you want to try and beat them aerially.
No, I completely agree, and not to mention the fact that there isn't actually that much height in the Japanese attack anyway. Even if they had somebody that could match them for height, you would still say that the 2 gentlemen you mentioned are very capable of pretty much dealing with anybody in terms of an aerial threat. That's why it may take a little bit more creativity, a little bit more footballing nous to try and break that defensive partnership. But we're back to our routine of Brazil being in possession now, with Danilo playing it back towards Casemiro. His ball just a little bit too far away from Vinny Jr. at the edge of the area. And it's with Doan now, playing it back towards Tomiyasu. Immediately 2 Brazilian players closing him down. So he goes back towards his goalkeeper, Suzuki. And now it's Taniguchi playing it back towards Suzuki again. Pressing here at the edge of the area, but it's a long clearance here from the goalkeeper. Very long clearance, in fact, a long way over the halfway line. Ends up being a decent quarterback ball, really, but just too many Brazil players around Ueda there for him to be able to do anything. It is now Brazil back in possession here with Casemiro. That's a good straight ball here. Cunha at the edge of the area wants to take an early shot as well, and he does force Suzuki into the save. It looked to me like that shot was going wide anyway, but maybe there was just a little bit of curl. Maybe it was just zipping off the turf, so the goalkeeper doesn't take any chances, puts it round for a corner.
Yeah, I think you're right, that probably wasn't going in, but I guess if it hits the post on the inside and bounces back into trouble, he would have wished that he'd just dealt with it.
Absolutely. Safety first as the corner kick is taken short. It's played over towards Bruno Guimaraes, but his right-footed effort from the left-hand side just doesn't quite have enough whip. For a second then when he hit it, I thought it might be heading goalwards, but in the end, just doesn't quite wrap his foot around it enough.
Yeah, I think it was a smart play from Brazil trying to catch Japan unaware there, as we've seen a replay of the initial shot, and it was just sneaking wide. So it would have been a shame for Japan if the resulting corner had ended in a goal, but get away with it.
They get away with it, and they're getting on the attack now as well, our Japan, who are straight through the middle. Great work here from Joana Ito. Gets to the edge of the area. He's brought down, and that's going to be a free kick to Japan in a dangerous position, and also the first booking of the evening for Brazil, and it's going to be Casemiro.
Yeah, poor challenge right on the edge of the box. I think you can't really call it cynical. I don't think he was just trying to bring him down. He just mistimed it, Casemiro. I think showed his age a little bit there. He has been a revelation since he was recalled by Carlo Ancelotti.
Well, they have got a bit of previous, those two, haven't they? Ancelotti knows what he can get out of Casemiro. And I say he is still a very steady, dependable defensive midfielder, but sometimes it's that little yard of pace, that split second of decision to then actually doing something on the pitch. That's potentially what just eludes you as you get a little bit older in terms of pro footballers, and I think that's probably what's That's probably what's got for Casemiro there, just lunging in a little bit when there was very little chance of actually winning the ball. But now Japan have got themselves a glorious opportunity here. It's just at the edge of the area, and it's over on the left-hand side. So a right-footed curling effort does seem to be the order of the day. It's certainly too close to even think about crossing it, really. They're either going to tee someone up for a drive or potentially just go for a curling effort. So Alisson barking some instructions at his defenders there. Looks like Hiroko Ito, the centre-back, is one of the three candidates coming across to discuss the free kick being taken. It's almost like he's backing away to absolutely try and smash this over the wall. Kamada is there as well. And there's also a left-footed option there. Looks like it is Junya Ito. So Hiroko Ito, Junya Ito or Daichi Kamada. Those are the three candidates for this free kick. Brazil have got 5 in the wall. Japan have got 3 players just to the side of the wall to try and be as much of a nuisance as they can. It is Kamada. He goes low in the end and it deflects off the wall pretty much just sort of knee height, and it deflects out for a corner.
Yeah, tried to catch the keeper out of the near post there. We've seen a few near post goals so far in this tournament. So see pictures of R9, Ronaldo sat behind Gianni Infantino.
Yeah, and just to the right of R9, of course, is Roberto Carlos, one of the most powerful left feet you've ever seen in football. Of course, scorer of that ridiculous free kick for Brazil against France many years ago now. And here comes the corner kick, though, for Japan from the left-hand side. It's going to be an in-swinger from Junya Ito in towards the 6-yard box. There's a player down inside the 6-yard box. Look, there might have been a push. Not too much of an appeal from Japan. They haven't even got time to appeal because they've won the ball back in midfield after Brazil cleared their lines. And they're on the attack straight away. A ball on the overlap hit, and Nakamura is overhit. And that is a real shame. Junya Ito, all he's got to do is roll that ball 5 yards and his teammate has an overlap. He rolls it 10 yards and it's out for a goal kick.
That's really wasteful from Junya Ito there. He'd love to have that opportunity back. I was surprised really that Brazil lost it in the manner that they did, but Japan showed their readiness to pounce on any mistake, and it was just a real shame that ball rolled out of play.
Yeah, in the end, it's the chances have been and gone, but that will be a bit of encouragement for Japan that they essentially off a direct long ball and a bit of possession in midfield. They got themselves an attacking free kick off the back of that. They got a corner. Admittedly, never really much danger in front of Alisson's goal, but at least it's a little bit more progress in terms of the attacking third. And here they go again now down the right-hand side with Sano. Early ball now played towards Maeda, who's found himself on the right-hand side this time. His cross charged down by Gabriel. It's out for a throw to Japan over on the right-hand side, level with the edge of the area. Not seen too much by way of a long throw from Japan so far in this World Cup. They have got a couple of players who can launch it into the box, of course, but it's not their first tactic to try and do that. I think they're going to try something maybe a little bit more straightforward. And they've got 3 waiting at the edge of the area. Ueda is one of them. He gets the ball, but as he was taking it down on the chest, looks like he was also using his arm.
Yeah, handball there. Japan, you're right, didn't try the long throw. I mean, the long throw in general, I think, is something that seems like it's already been figured out by defensive teams, and the amount of ones I've seen in this tournament that haven't even beaten the first man, it seems like every team thinks they should be taking them, but they might not even have someone who can throw it long enough. So props for Japan sticking with their guns.
No, absolutely. I think that it's at the end of the day, I mean, people talking about it being a new thing this season. There were players known for their long throws back in the 80s. It's not a new invention. The idea is that it's just been applied by more teams and it's become a bit more of a tactical thing, but it will go out of fashion. Tiki-taka may go out of fashion. 3 at the back might come back. 2 up front might come back. You never know. Things go in cycles in football, but certainly for the time being, Brazil now back in possession as they have been for most of this game. 18 and a half minutes on the clock here in Houston. Unofficial, independent, off-tube studio commentary where it's goalless between Brazil and Japan. And just a reminder, of course, every single game of the World Cup is available on our service. We're only a few weeks away from the first Euro qualifiers in European competitions, in the club competitions, of course. So they're going to be available from early, sort of mid-July, late July as well. So everything towards the new European seasons are going to be on our service as well. But right now we're back in Houston. Throw on here to Brazil on the left-hand side. Vinny Jr. Doing his best just to try and get another player in the book. He's always trying to just get a little bit of an advantage. He knows that as soon as a player that's marking him is on a yellow card, gives him an even more of an edge to try and get past him. But Danilo now down the right-hand side gets that ball in, and so they want to throw on here Brazil. They're not going to get it. Cunha, look at that, he's having to drop to the halfway line just to get into possession there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been pretty anonymous in this game so far. I think Japan have had the better of these opening 20 minutes. There was initial couple of balls into the box from Brazil, but you really saw how Japan could frustrate them quite easily by just isolating Cunha in the box. And there was a couple of times when an early ball was played in and there was 6 Japanese players in the box and just one Matheus Cunha.
Well, now Japan have made a bit of a mistake. It's a loose ball, it's a diagonal ball played out, and it was quickly cut out on the left-hand side by Douglas Santos. Now it's Vinny Jr. into the penalty area. His cross is headed away by Taniguchi. Loose ball recycled here on the left. The ball in from Douglas Santos is just about kept alive by Paqueta, but the pass was already overhit, I think, and in the end, Paqueta's cross is easily cleared. But that's something that Japan have to be very careful of. We can praise them for their organisation, but if they make individual errors or leave loose balls at the edge of the area, Brazil have got plenty of players to punish it.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to overload on those wide areas with Vinicius Jr. or even Ryan on the other side waiting. You would probably say that the age of the fullbacks for Brazil means that they might not be, running up and down, overlapping all night. But Vinicius Jr., we know he's someone who can do it on his own, really. Yeah,
he runs for 2, doesn't he? He plays the ball to himself, and then he just chases it down that touchline. But Brazil in possession now on the halfway line, starting again here with Gabriel. And looks up, plays it short to Vinicius Jr. It's now with Paquetá. Vinny Jr. again into Cunha. Saying something when Cunha's 40 yards out from goal here, just exchanging a few passes with his teammates. Certainly not able to get any further forward than that because his side are just not getting the final third possession. Casemiro now square to Gabriel. He goes over towards Paquetá. 40 yards out from goal. Paquetá in towards Bruno Guimaraes. Cunha, the pass from Cunha just a little bit loose, but it's still mopped up here by Gabriel. Now Paquetá switching play over towards the right-hand side, and he hits the ball too high. It's over the head of Ryan. In fact, Danilo, I beg your pardon, was the one who actually got further forward on that occasion. But Ancelotti there, just hands on his hips, because his side have had plenty of the ball, but done very little with it, in fairness.
Yeah, I think so. They've been pushed further and further back in the last 10 minutes by Japan, and I think when they have got into the final third, it's only really been the occasions when Japan have made a mistake at the back that they've actually been able to get in behind in any sense. Other than that, they're just sat with 10 Japanese players behind the ball and looking out of ideas so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of former Brazil players in a previous shot of the crowd. It was R9 and Roberto Carlos. Now it's Kaká and Ronaldinho. I'd say get those 4 gentlemen out of retirement and they'll soon shake this game up. I mean, between the 4 of them, the amount of attacking talent there is quite something. But, yeah, they're just interested spectators nowadays, of course. And they'll be hoping that Brazil can just start doing a little bit more in that final third as it's played all the way to the edge of the area here. And that's a good little turn as well from Matheus Cunha. Was he brought down at the edge of the area? I thought there was an argument for a foul. I mean, his theatrics sometimes do frustrate me, but I think on this occasion the Manchester United man might have had a point.
Yep, just in a replay of it here in slow-mo. He gets it past his man, Jano, and I think Asano, sorry, and yeah, absolutely. It gets absolutely none of the ball here. I do think that FIFA have clearly had conversations with the referees in this tournament about being a little bit more lenient, but yeah. I think they have gone a little bit too far in some occasions.
Sano's on a yellow card as well. I'm not saying that was potentially a second yellow, but I mean, that was a free kick. That should have been a free kick to Brazil. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And yeah, the referee has certainly been very lenient. But we're into the hydration break now, 23 minutes on the clock. And overall, Brazil looking like the better side, but not pulling up any trees. Looking at the stats so far in this game, it's 74% to Brazil for 26 for Japan. Their combined XG is only just over 0.25 for the two teams added up together, so it's they're certainly not spoiling us. I was expecting the game to be a little bit more open, but then having said that, it's not being played at a snail's pace. There is a bit of pace to the game, but it's just Brazil perhaps not able to break Japan down, and Japan not really doing too much to try and do the opposite.
Yeah, I think, again, as I said earlier, I don't think these are necessarily teams set up in the manner that you would expect them to be just because of the history of the two nations. But as we said just before we came on air, these are two sides, I think, set up not to lose first and foremost. Both sides have managed to avoid defeat in the group stages, and I think Japan, especially in that game against the Netherlands, I think they did fantastically well to score twice, but I watched that game and I never got the sense that they were desperate to push for victory. Obviously, it's a little bit different in the knockouts, but I do feel that Japan, especially with some of the ageing legs in midfield and at the back for Brazil, will be happy to see this one go into extra time.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's. I mean, I think it's always a risky. You have to have a plan for extra time and penalties, but I always think that as soon as you have a team that's setting up too early for that, then it's a hiding to nothing, because if you then concede, then you've got no sort of nothing on the pitch or nothing mentally even to suddenly turn that around. You've been programmed to just not concede all game, and you've now conceded, and you now have to score as well. So it's always a difficult balance. I think in these sort of knockout games, I think probably most teams set themselves until around the 60th, maybe 70th minute, and then if they're still not. If it's still goalless, or if they're only 1-0 up or something like that, that's probably when they start to close up a little bit and think about potentially extra time and penalties. I did like the fact that I saw a graphic earlier today showing a screen from American television, just informing the viewers that if a goal is scored in extra time, it's not a golden goal, because of course in various forms of American soccer over the years that has been the case. Of course, we did have the golden goal briefly in European competitions as well. I'm also old enough to remember the very brief incarnation of the silver goal, which was that if you were in front by half time of extra time, that would then cause the game to be ended. But we're slowly but surely coming towards the end of our hydration break now. It is Brazil 0, Japan 0, and it will be Charlie to take us through to half time.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I sort of remember the silver goal. I have sat through a lot of very sluggish second 15 minutes of extra time, so I think, I can understand the thinking behind it. And of course, we had the American style, the hockey style penalty shootouts for a while, didn't we? I don't know if that's still in use in any competition.
I think they've stopped that, but yes, absolutely. In fact, there was quite a nice clip of the current Canada former Leeds manager Jesse March actually scoring a penalty during that, running from the halfway line before clipping it past the goalkeeper. Back underway now, though, it's Japan on the attack.
Yeah, coming down the right-hand side with Doan looking to slip a ball through to Junya Ito. He's stood up by one of the Brazil defenders. It was Gabriel coming across to cover, and it'll be a corner for Japan. So a lively start after the hydration break for them.
Absolutely. Whatever their manager Hajime Moriyasu has told them, they've certainly listened and straight away applied that. They've got themselves a corner kick here now, and plenty of players arriving in the box.
Yeah, Moriyasu been in charge since the 2018 World Cup, the end of it, when he took over as full-time manager after being assistant. Probably Japan's most successful manager. Ball's whipped into the box, and the Japan player does get it first. It was the striker, exactly the man you'd want it to fall to, Ueda, but he couldn't get underneath the ball, and it came sailing over harmlessly for a goal kick.
Yeah, in the end it does. Yeah, I mean, as he goes up for this one, you can just see gets underneath it, but he's always climbing to get anywhere near the ball. He couldn't really do too much to actually get it on target. And Brazil putting themselves under pressure here with a short goal kick.
A couple of goals already in this tournament for Ueda. That's exactly what you want from your number 9, number 18 in this case. Alisson takes it short to Gabriel to get us back underway. The press has slightly been relieved from Japan, but there's still 2 Japanese players in the Brazil box by the time Alisson boots it long. Paqueta can't quite get it under control from the long kick, and it's all the way back to Alisson from a clearance from Hikari Ito. He again just rolls it short to Marquinhos. I predict Marquinhos and Gabriel will have plenty of the ball in this one, especially if Japan are going to continue to be so tough to break down. Here's Marquinhos finding the veteran fullback Danilo, now plying his trade back in Brazil with Flamengo, the former Manchester City and Juventus man. Still just in the back line for Brazil, this time with Gabriel finding Alisson, shaping to go long. Instead, knocks it to captain Marquinhos. He attempts a long ball forward. It's cut out by Taniguchi, and Japan coming forward now, but it's cut out once more in the midfield by Casemiro. And Brazil with a little bit of space, but again it's given away, this time to Sano, and he beats his man. He's tearing towards the box, shot comes in, and it's a brilliant goal from Sano. Carried it himself 15 or 10 yards after Brazil carelessly gave a ball away in the middle of midfield. There's bedlam in the stands for the Japanese fans. He beat his man Casemiro, got himself in 5 or 10 yards of space at the edge of the area, drilled a shot low into the left-hand side, and Japan take the lead here.
Well, what a goal that is. It is 16th cap as well. The Mainz midfielder, absolutely superb. It's the kind of run and shot you'd expect from a Brazilian midfielder, really, wouldn't you? But it just goes to show how confident these Japanese players are. Absolutely superb. And he's already been involved in this game, Kaishu Sano. He got a yellow card early on. Potentially was risking a second yellow for that lunge on Mateus Cunha. But they're absolutely superb. And from the neutral's point of view, I think it's the perfect scenario because we want to see as much attacking football as we can. And so, I mean, first of all, it's a terrible giveaway of possession, just watching it on the reverse angle. But what a great run. He's always got that goal in his mind, and he just guides it away from Alisson. It's not a superbly powerful strike, but it's very, very precise, right along the deck, and it's a superb goal. He'll be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, it's got to be something special to beat that man, Alisson. It's the fact that Sano himself picked up the ball and then just drove forward, never any thought of cutting back, passing sideways. He just saw a little bit of space. He knew that if he took on Casemiro and he had the legs to beat him, then all of a sudden it opened up for him. And he just drilled it into the bottom corner. And it's 1-0 Japan. Brazil gets back underway, wanting to get back on the front foot. They've had no answer so far to Japan's back three that might actually be a back five, that could actually be a back six. And might
even get even longer now that they've taken the lead. They could all put all 10 outfield players behind the ball. But now it's on Brazil. They've conceded and they've had most of the possession, but not really created too many clear-cut chances. And now it's down to Ancelotti's side to actually turn this around.
Ryan, who's been one of a number of anonymous players up there for Brazil so far, has the ball on the right-hand side, cuts back inside, and ends up with Gabriel. Onto the left, he finds Vinicius Junior, tries a very early ball into the box. Junior Ito, the winger, is back doing his defensive duties and slides in to prevent that one going into the box. It'd be a throw-in for Brazil, which is taken quickly into the back line. And once again, a lot of sideways and backwards passing from Brazil on the right-hand side between Danilo and Ryan, but no way through, so they're going to switch it back to the left again with Gabriel trying to marshal his troops ahead of him, ask for some movement, but he's not seeing much, and just certainly not seeing any gaps in this Japanese defence to play through. Gabriel rolls it over to Paqueta, who tries to find Douglas Santos. He thinks he's been fouled. The referee does pull it back, blows up.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It was almost like Mr. Mariani had given himself a little mental replay there, because he took a good few seconds to whistle that one, didn't he?
Yeah, he took his time, but there can be no doubt about that one.
Yeah.
It's similar to the one we saw a little bit earlier on Vinicius Junior, where he just gets in a little bit late and gets his studs on the boot of...
He does, but because it's not Vinny Jr. who's being fouled, potentially he gets away with just getting a warning without a yellow card. But this is a good opportunity now for Brazil. It's wide on the left-hand side, so either a cutting out swinger from Paquetá or a wicked in-swinger from Bruno Guimaraes. But in any case, that's Japan defence have got to be on their toes.
Yeah, either way, it's going to be a midfielder with vast Premier League experience to take this one. And it will be run over by Guimaraes. So Paquetá trying to swing it into the back post. Header across from the captain, Marquinhos. Just didn't get a full connection, and it had gone out, I think, for a throw-in for Japan.
I think he may have. Actually, you're right. I think the angle he ended up making contact with that is probably gone out for a throw by the corner flag rather than actually gone out for a goal kick. But he never really got the right contact with it, Marquinhos. We're just getting a couple of replays of the goal for Japan. The more I see it, the more I'm impressed with it, really. Excellent strike here from Kaishu Sano, giving Alisson no chance at all. And it was Japan that played out from the back, but they've now lost the ball in midfield.
I think it was a goal kick, and a terribly executed one that's ended up in a throw for Brazil. So Japan with a chance to relieve the pressure they've been under, and they haven't taken it. This time Guimaraes tries an early ball in. Vinicius Junior with a shot, and that's harmless, straight into the hands of Suzuki. Yeah,
an easy one there for Zion Suzuki. Bouncing balls like that, sometimes the players do try and get that little bit of extra bounce on the ball, so perhaps throw the goalkeeper, but this one is about 5 yards short of where it needs to be. A goalkeeper can see that one coming a long way out.
Yeah, I think that was aiming for the bottom right corner, but got nowhere near. Once again, Japan, since the goal, have struggled to get it out of their own half. Brazil applying good pressure. 63% possession for the Seleção. That has dropped from about 3/4, 10 or so minutes ago before the goal went in. As we're seeing, I think that's Deontay Wilder in the crowd. As Brazil looking to play forward from the back, route one stuff, trying to find Mateus Cunha, and then there's a collision in the midfield. Paquetá, poor guy, has been in the wars with his own teammates. He was just fouled essentially by Casemiro, but once again he just gets right back up and on with it. So they're going to try and switch the play out to Danilo on the right hand side. He's got company from Maeda, plays it back to Marquinhos. Danilo again is going to swing the ball in. That's a poor cross, but it bounces in the box, and it's still not done yet. Vinicius Junior gets it at the edge of the box. Shot comes in from Paquetá. It's blocked, but once again, Japan just can't get it out. Vinicius on the ball again. He's got Douglas Santos overlapping for support. Santos tried the first time cross, and it was blocked by a Japanese defender, and then that's a nice out ball. But then Doan, he takes a little bit too long on it. He's giving it away. Trying to get it through to Vinicius again, but that one just slightly overhit, and it will be out for a goal kick for Japan. But they're being their own worst enemy right now since the goal's gone in.
Well, they are. I mean, it's almost that extra pressure that they know that they've got to defend the goal. All of a sudden, they're just sitting back a little bit more, perhaps a little bit more nervous in possession. I mean, that collision there between Casemiro and Paquetá was quite amusing. I mean, that would have been a free kick had it not been his own teammate bumping into him there. It was certainly quite a painful one. But yeah, Japan, they need half-time sooner rather than later. We've still got 10 minutes plus injury time, and now they've given the ball away at the edge of their own box.
Yeah, once more, pressure coming from Brazil. Pass goes to Cunha. Squares it back to Vinicius Junior. He's got 3 or 4 Japanese players for company. He tries to roll it back into Guimarães, and the pressure relieved for a moment. But Brazil still on the ball. Casemiro playing it back to Gabriel. He finds Paquetá. He's weighing up his options. Looks to dink the ball in past that Japanese back line, but he's unable to do so. And they're on the counter-attack again. Junya Ito on the right-hand side is a little bit starved for options. And the tackle comes in from Paquetá. And it's out for a throw-in for Japan. That's the first time in a while that they've managed to relieve any sort of pressure. But Brazil got back in numbers to deal with that one. They've featured in the last 7 World Cups, Japan, and they've reached the last 3 of the last 4 round of 16s, but never made it to the quarterfinals. Of course, they've got an extra round this time to contend with, the round of 32. But so far, 36 minutes gone, and they are having the better of this mouth-watering clash between themselves and Brazil as the Brazilians come forward once more. I mean, this alongside Netherlands-Morocco later this evening or into tomorrow morning, probably the 2 standout games. As on the left-hand side is Danilo back to Paquetá. Once again, very little movement in front of him in the face of stern Japanese defence, but that's a nice little ball through to Casemiro, who lays it off for Matheus Cunha. Finds Vinicius Junior, but he thinks he's fouled. Either way, he's managed to squeeze it back to Gabriel, who's inching ever further forward as this half goes on. Now finds Douglas Santos back to Gabriel, moving forwards, foot on the ball, lays it off to Casemiro, but you can tell Brazil really frustrated. It's not often that you see this many backwards and sideways passes from a Brazilian side, but they're just finding absolutely no gaps to play through. Vinicius Junior dropping really deep now with Danilo overlapping, but once again the Real Madrid star feels his only option is to play back to that back 2, and Japan perfectly happy to see out the rest of the half like this, not pressing at all, just back in those banks, looking hard to break down. The early shot comes in from Cunha. That was his only option on, really, but once again it's straight into the hands of Suzuki.
No, it is, and you're absolutely right. Japan will take possession of Brazil like that and shots like that all day long. We've seen 3 or 4 shots like that already. Tame efforts from outside the box where whether it's Cunha, whether it's Vinny Jr., just not able to really put their foot through the ball, and then it's just a little bit of goalkeeping practice for Zion Suzuki. So if that's going to be the case until half-time, Japan will feel very confident. The only issue, I think, from Japan's point of view is that they start getting too much into a mindset of sitting too deep. We are only into the first half, of course, and if they're going to go into the second half with a 1-goal lead, they do have to have a little bit of a plan to be more expansive, I think.
Yep, each side scored 7 goals in the group stage. Brazil, I think most people would have hoped or expected a few more, but just the 1 goal conceded. As we've already said, it is a very different Brazil team to the one we're used to. They're set up on being solid, but right now they look like they're lacking that creative spark. Maybe this is set up perfectly for Neymar, but also, as we said, we really have no idea what kind of form or fitness the former Barcelona legend is in, really. Vinicius Junior, we know what he can do. Lays it off to Casemiro, and that's a really poor touch from Casemiro. And there's another counter-attack coming here. Junya Ito is dispossessed. It was Maeda, actually, who scampered in from the left-hand side to win that one. But once more, he was just isolated up there and could only win a throw-in for his side. But it will allow a little bit of respite for the Japanese, who have been defending solidly for the last 20 or so minutes since that goal went in. And the options for Japan are just to go back to Suzuki. He plays it across to Tomiyasu. He tries a very ambitious cross-field ball through the midfield. There was actually fortunate not for it to be cut out in the midfield, but instead it's cut out by Danilo. Lays it off to Casemiro. Mateus Cunha again, dropping really deep. Plays a 1-2 with Paqueta. Vinicius Jr. is going to try and swing the ball in, but they'll take that all evening long, will Japan. Junya Ito very easily blocking that one. Back to Vinicius. Finds Marquinhos. Head up, 40 yards from goal. Danilo now on the right-hand side. Bruno Guimaraes once more back to Marquinhos. This game is falling into a very predictable pattern here, with Brazil possession anywhere between 40 and 30 yards from goal. Early cross is swung in, but it's far too close to Suzuki again. He's not been troubled by anything Brazil have thrown at him so far tonight.
Well, there's just that's the thing. It's either speculative efforts from a long way out, or it's hopeful crosses from a long way out. But whatever it is, the goalkeeper and defenders are a long way off. But the goalkeeper and defenders are very happy to see that, is what I was going to say. And I think from Carlo Ancelotti's point of view, he just needs to give his players a few more ideas, because right now, It's quite rare. As I say, it is a different Brazil to what we're used to, but it's quite rare to watch a whole half of Brazilian football and say that was pretty predictable.
Japan coming forward now with Maeda, finding Doan, right wing back, plays it back to Tomiyasu. Again, just possession in the defensive third for Japan. Certainly have one eye towards half-time already, which is about 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time away. Can't imagine we'll be seeing too much stoppage time. It's been a fairly free-flowing game. Of course, we've had the hydration breaks. That'll be a few minutes at least. Coming down the right-hand side now are Japan. Tomiyasu picking out Doan. He's got Junya Ito for support. He finds him now, and back to Doan. It's a nice turn with his first touch, looking to go forward past Paqueta. Doubles back on himself now, and there's a slight deflection through from the Brazilian player. But again, is that Paqueta again involved? No, he wasn't involved in that one, but that's at least the second time that two Brazilian players have gone smashing into each other.
Yeah, they have, and Casemiro's been involved in that in some way or another with both of them. We'll see here it's Cunha and Casemiro this time, and I say, if you're going to get a shoulder barge from Casemiro, you're going to know about it, aren't you?
Yeah, not the finest game so far for the former Manchester United man.
Or indeed the current Manchester United man. He's not done too much in this game either.
No. That's Mateus Cunha, of course. Ball flicked into the back post from Junya Ito, cut out by Marquinhos, but the second ball is won well by Japan. Hikari Ito now. That's a lovely ball into the back post. It's mostly dealt with by Douglas Santos. I'm not entirely sure if he got the shout there, but he sort of did well to not just head that out for a corner. He managed to twist his head around and somehow get it out for a throw-in.
No, he did very well there. I actually think that cross probably was almost from too close to the edge of the area. If that same ball had been whipped in from a few yards further out, there might have been more of a chance of a Japan player getting on it, but they've taken the throw short.
Yeah, it was Doan down the right-hand side. Again, back to Tomiyasu. Pressure is coming, but that's a really nice turn from Tomiyasu. Plays it inside to Sano, the goal scorer. He again dances past one, but he's done a little bit too much this time. Casemiro is able to get a leg in. It's given advantage for the Japanese midfielder, and Japan will continue this attack onto the left-hand channel and back inside to Kamada. Taniguchi, the central man in that back three, is coming forward now, lays it off, and Doan plays a few nice passes and then tries to drive inside, but his final attempted pass is cut out. Once again, though, Japan have been really good so far in the second balls tonight, and they've won it back again with Hikari Ito finding Kamada, dropping deep, surveying his options. One of them is his midfield partner, Nakamura, the left wing back to Kamada. Once again, switching the play now to Doan. There's Junya Ito actually on the right hand side. He's got space to drive into, just as that cuts in on the left foot. Shot comes in, it's blocked by Casemiro on the edge of the area, a little bit close to his arms, but there was no suggestion of handball. And then an attempted Brazilian counter-attack is brought to a very premature end by Kamada, and he gets a yellow card.
Yeah, I mean, he can't have any complaints there. Two Premier League players clashing. Crystal Palace's Daichi Kamada bringing down Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes. And yeah, I mean, it's a... We could say it's a slightly tame yellow card, but actually it was the start of a counter-attack. It's right before half-time, a free kick in the centre circle. So from Japan's point of view, I think it's worked out well.
Yeah, it was a midfielder's tackle, you would say. He knew exactly what he was doing there. As the clock ticks over 45 minutes, we're about to get confirmation of the added time. It's been a fixture of this World Cup where it's come up on the TV screens a little bit late as the ball comes in for Brazil, and there's a little bit of an argument about who got the first touch there as the board does come up and it says 4 minutes added on. I think Brazil thought they should have won a corner there.
Well, they would have had a corner because the last touch does come off a Japan player, but there was an offside in the build-up, so that's obviously going to trump everything else. Just seeing that last effort there, I think, it looked like it might have been a double kiss there. Paquetá was trying to claim it should have been a corner. As I say, I think it would have been, but there was an offside in the build-up, so now the ball cleared long by Suzuki.
Yeah, launched forward and dealt with semi-unconvincingly by the Brazilian defence, and as a result, once again, they miss out from that second ball. Kamada, the man who's just gone into the box, finds Maeda on the left-hand side. Back to Kamada. Can he get the ball into the area? He looks a little bit stuck in that sort of 3/4 from the left position every time he gets the ball, unsure whether to try and swing it in or go left. This time he has gone left. Nakamura looked to take on Danilo, but decided against it, moved it back into the midfield. It's come across over to the right-hand side now, and that's a really poor ball played by Tomiyasu onto Doan, and that's just a wasted opportunity for Japan there.
It is. They can't be wasteful in possession. They've got the goal. They're looking like they're going to have the lead until half-time. Still got a couple of minutes to see out, of course. But from their point of view, it's a job well done so far. But that doesn't mean to say they can just sort of forget about going forward and wasting a final third possession. They've still got to use it because a one-goal lead against any team in a knockout game of the World Cup is not enough. But against Brazil, there's always a chance they can come back.
As we see more shots of Brazil manager Carlo Ancelotti. It's his first international job as a manager, but we'd best not forget he's been to 3 World Cups, 2 as a player and 1 as assistant manager, all for Italy, of course. He's won titles in all of the top 5 leagues in Europe and 5 Champions League titles to boot. I think a World Cup win would just push his status even higher if he needs it. It's Brazil back on the ball now. There's been 5 or so minutes of sustained Japanese pressure, but it's back with the Brazilians, and once again we're seeing a lot of possession for Gabriel and Marquinhos, with Casemiro dropping in either side of him. Marquinhos, it's not pressure from Japan, but it's just good sort of positional play where you just see these Brazilian players looking up, looking around and just not knowing what to do. That's a good line breaking ball though from Gabriel, but it's cut out at the next possible opportunity by Sano. Out for Brazilian throw-in on the left-hand side. Played quickly. Finds Danilo. Back to Bruno Guimaraes. And once again, the early ball attempted, but this time it's just a switch of play over to Danilo on the right-hand side. Finds Marquinhos. He does whip the ball into the back post. It's Paquetá trying to win it, but he was under too much pressure there. Had to backpedal and couldn't get his head on it. So Gabriel is once more left to pick up the pieces. Here again, I feel like I'm getting deja vu here. Switches the play over to Danilo. This time he heads it into the box early. There is a Brazil player down on the edge of the area, left-hand side. I think he wanted to play stop, but it's continuing for now as it's flicked on by a Japanese body in the midfield, and Ueda was unable to get it under control from pressure. Is Lucas Paquetá, who's been in the wars in this first half, who's limping.
Well, he has. Yeah, I mean, He started off the game, actually, in the first few seconds limping, but that, in fact, will be the last action of the first half.
Yeah, that's been an interesting first half. A tactical battle, to say the least, but it's Japan that have come out on top. It's Brazil 0, Japan 1.